podcast, the only show that dares to ask the question, is it essential? I am your host, Corbin, and with me today is Bobby.
Crying baby!
And Alan.
Hi!
We have got quite a show for you today. We are getting right back into the finale, the two-part finale, some would say, of a some would maybe even a three-part finale. Others might say 4-part finale. Either
Minimum
way, we are
4,
ending.
Pete. Yeah.
Yeah, we are ending the traditional storyline of A Nightmare on Elm Street with the 6th film in the franchise, Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. But before we get into it, Bobby has a spoiler warning.
I do. This will serve as your first one and only spoiler warning for Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare. If you do not want this movie spoiled for you, skip the time code provided in our show notes or description for our essential spoiler-free discussion. So, little known trivia fact about this movie. Freddy dies in it. Alan.
I thought it was going to be a real trivia. I thought he was actually going to just really give me something good. And then
I was prepared to learn.
Fuck you.
I have a little known trivia fact about this movie.
After last week, where my trivia joke did not go out the way that I wanted it to, I had to go hard. Also, before we get into Alan's bit, I also have additional thing. I was told that this week would be the episode we'd finally get to hear the stunning conclusion to our shocker episode and hear Corbin's. You did.
I could never say that.
You did.
What?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You said we've learned the power of
Yep.
death of the review and essentiality score, and that.
I did say that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
didn't you?
well, that is a tough time for past Corbin. I did not watch Shocker.
I got him. We got him live in AK. Yeah, I got you. I got you on camera.
You think I care? If I cared, I would have watched it by now.
Yeah, I can't. I lose.
Here's what I'll say about Shocker. Okay. By the time we are done with A Nightmare on Elm Street, I'll have watched Shocker.
Okay.
That's the timeline I'll give myself.
Is this including Freddy vs. Jason, which you've already said is not counted in this franchise?
Give myself like a year. No, it is not including Freddy vs. Jason. Only including the next 2 after.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So there's the final countdown, and when we get to the Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 remake, and I still haven't watched it, I'll just punt it down the field with something else.
All right, so this movie that we got to experience, one of the stronger openings, I would say, to a nightmare, because the Wicked Witch of the West bit is great. It's awesome. The whole bit of him like dropping through the sky is great. So we have a John Doe. He is some sort of last remnant of Springwood. Also, just as a fact, a point of notice, this movie occurs 10 years from now. So that means it occurs in 2033 as of us watching this film, for what it's worth.
I don't think that's how that works, actually.
10 years from now. Right now is 2023. That's how I'm... Nope, don't care. That's how... Nope.
Wait. Canonically, this movie takes place in 2001?
Yes.
There were cell phones in 2001.
Yep.
They didn't know that in 1991. But that's the danger of lobbing the film into the near future.
Yeah, it gives you perspective to be like, why are they missing these very specific things that would absolutely be around? But yeah, so this kid is the last remnant of Springfield, which has basically been entirely dismantled by Freddy Krueger, to the point where there are no children and only adults all experiencing some sort of like mass hallucination / PTSD from Freddy killing everything. He escapes out with him dragging Freddy along with him, so that Freddy can continue to do what Freddy does, which is kill children. He's trying to jump to the next town where there's always an Elm Street, and he makes sure to pull an Elm Street sign literally out of the ground. So this kid ends up getting picked up because he's kind of like walking around all confused and whatnot in this new town, and gets dropped off at like an orphan / like juvenile detention hall. It's kind of ambiguous between what it is that
It's a halfway house, right?
It's something like that, yeah. And there are other kids there all trying
don't
to.
the cops call it like a clinic or something?
Yeah, it's.
I think they all call it the clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets dropped off there, and he finds a very nice therapist and a very nice dream doctor who totally have very important roles to the film. And as things progress, of course, we go back to Springwood because that's where we're trying to go. We're trying to find out who this kid is, going back to the place. Which then causes all sorts of other shenaniganery to happen with Freddy, doing exactly what Freddy does best, which is kill people. Lo and behold, we find out that Maggie, the one of the main therapist ladies, is actually Freddy's daughter, Catherine Krueger. And let's just open it from there. This movie is dumb. I want to front load that, but in a way that I find incredibly acceptable.
It's fun because this movie, like, it was just silly. It was just silly. Exactly. It was funny. Like, it owned it. Like, it also, I think it has the smallest body count of the entire franchise.
Yeah, 3 people die in this movie.
And like,
is it 3 including Freddy? Like,
it's it's 4 including Freddy.
4 with Freddy. Yeah,
4 with Freddy. Yeah.
If there is one thing that I think is like a massive disappointment, is the body the body effects and the body horror, the body gore is just not.
I was completely
there,
gone,
at all, which is very sad because I mean, even through all those terrible movies we've watched for the past couple of weeks, they always had that through line of just excellent special or practical effects.
But Alan,
yes,
the Power Glove.
Yeah,
okay, I did love
playing
the
with power.
I did love
that was amazing.
Okay, hold on.
Now I'm playing with power.
Early part of the film, John Doe and Maggie are talking to each other. They're having this like normal conversation, and like she just asks, "Where are you from?" A very calm, cool, collected, and this guy just screams at her, "I don't know." I started laughing so fucking hard at that. It is 8 a.m. when I watched this, and I probably woke my wife up from the sheer amount of laughing I was doing because it was
this movie
ridiculous.
Is so poorly acted in
no
such
one has
an
any
amazing
control of
way.
Emotions in this film in like every great way and bad way.
The Dream Doctor, what is his name?
Doc. His character name is Doc.
When he's explaining dreams, he's saying it so like he's just reading it all, like he's like, yeah, you know, the dreams, they just come out, you know, you're mad because you can't believe this is what it is, but the reality is it is just this way, and you know, it's bad. I was just like, it's just like, oh my god, man.
See, like, this movie definitely is poorly acted, but it also, to me, felt better acted than the previous movie, which was so wooden, so stilted, and like this movie at least like. Was it poorly acted? Yes, but kind of just in the other way, where everything was a lot of things were just more exaggerated than they needed to be, and that made it feel better. I mean, it felt more appropriate.
Yeah, no, I agree with this. I was me and Ellen were talking before the episode. I say I'm more convinced that I liked this movie more than I liked Dream Child.
Yeah.
Again, is it as good as Dream Master? No. It's just not. No, I said it. I'm gonna hold on to this. I will die. I will fight on this hill every single fucking time, man.
Bobby opened up this show for us behind the scenes that he was willing to be persuaded, and now, not 8 minutes into the show, he's locking his stance. Well, which is it, Bobby?
Well, again, change my mind.
Okay, I've got a bit. When they meet the teacher in Springwood, and he has like a whole timeline of. Did you guys actually like read through any of the shit?
That was 1492 when Freddy sailed across the sea.
Or no, the one that I got is Freddy kills Elvis? Question mark. So what the fuck?
I love that. Like the first date is like 1035 or something. It goes all the way through the modern era.
It's just. That, like, to me, Freddy 101, that was the class the man was teaching. He
Yeah.
announced it. That to me is like, okay, this movie gets what it is. Like,
Yes.
that scene alone
Of
kind of
course
made
it
me
does,
go,
yeah.
okay, this movie understands that it's done. It gets that we're taking this out to pasture, okay? It's
I mean
time.
that's the
And I
biggest
think
difference
that's what I
between
love about it.
this one and Dream Child is that this movie like fully understood, I think, what it was, what the franchise, where the franchise was at the
Yeah.
time, and what its purpose was as a final movie. And like, I do kind of commend this movie, I think, for just following the franchise along its expected path of ridiculousness, and then just ending it.
Well, and I think I will say this, right? This movie has like a lot of cameos. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's got fucking Alice Cooper as Freddy's stepdad,
Yeah.
right? Like it's like so stupid. But even Johnny Depp
I mean, you
comes
gotta have
back
Alice
in for
Cooper though, you know.
Yeah,
Johnny Depp.
Roseanne was in this film, and Tom Arnold just show up randomly.
Yeah.
True. Johnny Depp, obviously, like
Yeah,
Bobby.
for a
Yeah.
second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Shea is in this too. Like,
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Incredible. Like they pulled out all the stops.
and it's worth it. Like at the
I
end of the
agree.
day, this movie kind of sucks, right? But like it also knows what it's trying to be at this point, right? Where it's like, yeah, this movie's done, right? This comes out in a post Shocker world, right? So well, and I say that we laugh, but I say this with sincerity because Shocker kind of like kicked the Freddy Krueger franchise's ass a little bit. And so like not even Wes Craven was happy about it. So it's like, let's just fucking end this on a stupid, silly note. There's a 3D segment far past the age of 3D.
I love 1991 3D.
1991, and they do it like, oh my god! I was explaining this before the show, but it's so fucking funny. Doc just comes out and goes, "Wear these. They'll help you in the dream world. It can be whatever you want it to be." It's like, put on your 3D glasses now.
And then what she wanted it
Audience.
to be was just nothing because it just evaporated off of her face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And then there's just like lightning bolts shooting through, and like the weird demon sperms are just like, woo wee.
The best part of the 3D sequence, obviously, is when she puts on the glasses, and then the glasses disappear, and then she brings her own hand closer to her face for the 3D effect. And it's like, okay, in world, why did you do that?
Yeah, it's all yeah. She's like, whoa, and it's like she's essentially sticking her fingers into her eyes.
Yeah,
She's
like,
doing
why-
a Slipknot lyric.
Yeah, like, she's doing the Slipknot lyric.
Oh man, it's so funny.
something I wanted to hit on is we already kind of mentioned that the practical effects weren't like great,
Almost
but then again at the
non-existent.
same time, like some of these kills were actually like pretty good. Like specifically John gets done dirty. Freddy, he drops him from 1,000 feet in the air onto a bed of spikes. Like that's fucking brutal.
It's like the one kill that remembers what it was meant to be. What remembers what like the original Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street is meant to be, right? Because like
Yep.
like the originals one is like it's supposed to be like all of those fears that you dream about, right? Running too slow, getting sucked down the bathtub drain, right? Like getting sucked into your bed, right? Like all like
Right.
those original type things, right? Falling from a great height out of nowhere, or having your parachute and then you get like impaled on something. Like that's like a real like primal type fear.
Isn't it crazy that it took 6 Nightmare on Elm Street movies to do a falling dream like as a
Yeah.
main shtick? Like,
Right.
how do they not snag that earlier?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
The other bit I want to give, I really enjoyed is the where Freddy cuts the guy with the hearing aids ear off, and like then
Yes,
all
I
you
loved that
hear
part.
is the breathing. That's just good. That's a good scene. Like that is just like phenomenal the whole way through.
I think
how
that's
works
one of
out.
the best actual like sequences of the whole movie because like
Absolutely.
they they're not leaning into the dream element of it too much, but they're them playing with a deaf character and the hearing aid, and then like the supersonic hearing from like the dream enhanced hearing aid. Like the scene was like, it was better than it deserved to be for the movie.
Yeah.
I think the way that they played with the sound and everything, and it's like, we didn't really see effects like this for the rest of the film, but it was awesome. I mean, that was a really really great sequence.
It's one of those things, right? Because the director of this movie, I know she was like a long running either writer or something. Rachel, I don't know how to say her last name. Talalay, I think. Talalay, I don't know, Talalay maybe. But like she was like they gave her to direct it because she was like part of the series from like the beginning or some shit like that. And
Okay.
like it's very clear that she had some really cool and even like progressive ideas, right? Like only like the men die, and of the 3 kills, 2 of them are like white dudes, right?
Yeah,
Like just straight up, right?
a lot of
Like
people that you would expect to die actually survive this movie.
yeah, yeah.
How does the stoner guy die?
Rachel Talalay,
He's the Power Glove.
she's still working.
Oh, he is the Power Glove. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is by far the worst
Oh yeah, that was pretty lame.
of all of them. Like that is the super Freddy of this movie.
This
Well,
was
hold
her
on.
first movie as director.
Yeah.
I think
Very cool.
the death would be. See, but I like Power Glove Freddy. Super Freddy's lame. Power Glove Freddy's cool as hell.
I wouldn't say that.
I
No.
don't agree at all, and I like Super Freddy, and I think they're on about the same level of cringe, honestly. Like,
Totally accurate.
of course, I
So-
liked all the Donkey Kong like sequences.
Oh,
so
she was
I
a
got no-
producer. She was a producer on
on
Dream
3 and 4.
Warriors.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, how do we feel about the whole trying to like tie out the actual backstory of Fred Krueger?
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah, it feels like the same kind of thing that like Rob Zombie got criticized for with Halloween. Where it was like, I think we expanded the story too much in the wrong direction. And we, when you spend 5 movies establishing basically that Freddy Krueger is just like evil for evil's sake, he was one of those villains. And then in this movie, they try to walk it back, and they're like, "Oh, well, actually, he was bullied, and he had a bad stepfather, and like, was he the son of 100 maniacs? Like, who cares? Because look at what happened to him." And it's like, I don't know about all that.
You can give like I'm even fine. I'm not super cool with giving him a kid, but like because but I'm super cool with him being. And you know what? Even that I am cool with him having a kid to a certain extent, right? Whatever. But like you can make him just a fucking serial killer, like he was from the very beginning, who killed his wife, or like was also like a domestic abuser, right? Okay, fine, right? But like, don't make him nice to his kid, right? Like the implication
especially
was
like they've already established that he's a child killer, like at that point. So,
like, make it like he's killed all the Springwood kids, and like now he's going to like, if you want to like do like, at this point we understand how serial killers work. A lot of serial killers have a specific fixation. We're talking our Ed Kempers, we're talking our Ted Bundys, we're talking our Jeffrey Dahmers, right? That they want a specific thing, and they don't kill the thing that they want to kill, so they kill around it, and eventually they usually, in their final berserker rage, kill the thing that they want to kill, right? So have it be that like, I want it all, but at the end of the day, I really just wanted her because I wanted to kill my daughter or whatever.
right.
Fine. Let it be. That's an interesting idea. I think it's a little bit too complex for 1991 slashers, so obviously I'm asking for too much. Right?
I mean,
like,
yes, but no, though, right? Because like, I think the horror landscape could have taken it, but I think that Nightmare at this point couldn't have.
Yeah, people were not looking for a complex story on.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that, but God, this movie is so dumb.
It's the thing that
Dumb fun.
yes,
dumb.
Dumb
it's
fun. It is dumb.
the
fun.
thing the thing I remember one of the things I said that really frustrated me, really the past 2 weeks, is the bits between Freddy were really bad in the previous two films that were unbearable.
Yeah.
And they weren't necessarily great in this film either, but I think we kind of already hit on how this movie is so hammed up in so many ways because literally no one in this entire cast of characters has any control over their emotions. Tracy just starts screaming at
She
people
yells
half
the
the time.
entire time. No,
It's
the
ridiculous.
entire time.
Like, and in situations where it's just not warranted for any reason at
No.
all. So it's like
John Doe is
yeah.
constantly mauling and sweating. As a mauling, sweating man myself, just constantly mauling and sweating. Right?
So
Like
The
realistic
stoner guy
portrayal,
is
you're saying?
constantly just baked out of his mind, hanging out. Like, I just want to escape. I don't want to be my dad, man.
My
Like,
favorite thing of that, one of my be like me, be like me, be like me.
but like, I don't know.
I hate
stupid nature
and
made it
love that
easier.
power glove, the
I-
SNES scene.
I'm all for the SNES scene. I think it was great.
I
had a
also
really
loved
good
it.
time.
It's just
My
stupid
favorite-
and like
My
fun.
favorite
Yeah.
part is like there is like just the idea that there is intrinsically a connection between weed and video games in the early 90s. Like
30 years ago, that was it.
yeah.
Well, and I think again, this movie is very hammed up. It's so like this movie was so dumb. When
How
you
dumb
see-
was it?
Well, you see a character who's stoned out of his mind in his dreams being used as a video game character, and then you see him do it in the real world, and it's not that dumb. Because
It was
this movie
very
is
funny, though.
just that dumb. Like, it's
Oh, when he's like
it's
doing like the boing,
yeah,
boing,
he's
we're doing the Mario
jumping
jump.
through the exactly in the real world, and it's like this is incredibly stupid. But this movie's already set me up to understand how incredibly stupid it is, and it succeeds in that.
Oh yeah,
in
no.
all the ways.
I think that's why, like, we mentioned a movie like Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is so wacky,
Ooh, that's a
wild,
good
and weird,
barometer.
but it sets it up to be wacky, wild, and weird. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if this movie is intentionally doing that, but at the same time, when the opening scene has Freddy Krueger acting like the Wicked Witch of the West, you kind of gotta buy
it's
to a
gotta be,
certain
right?
extent, right?
Yeah.
It's telling you. It's telling you, hey now guys.
They
Listen.
literally, during the press tour for this movie, gave Freddy Krueger a funeral.
That's so cool.
Like, oh yeah. So
Imagine
There-
like that happening now.
A funeral for
That would be
Ghostface
amazing.
with the
They-
episode- with
they
the
could
sixth
never-
one coming
they
out.
could never do
horror's bigger than it was then, and
Yeah.
yet that
Yeah,
would just
but-
never happen now.
horror is bigger than it was then. But name me a like maybe Ghostface. But like the thing is like we don't have supernatural serial killers anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the specific culture around it has obviously changed, right? Like the goal,
Yeah.
like Freddy having a funeral during the press tour for this movie, like it was more than just Freddy. I mean, like that was like the end of the golden age of like the slashers, right? Those 10 years, that really
Yeah.
enveloped all that time. I mean, that was like that's just all.
Yeah, they were fully letting it go.
Right,
even though they
exactly. There was a conscious decision made by the studios at that time. They're like, well, this type of horror movie is over now, and this is how
Yeah.
we're saying goodbye.
Until Wes Craven said, "Hold my beer" again.
Well,
Well, yeah, but Wes
even
Craven
then-
didn't reboot it. Wes Craven just was
Exactly.
the only one who did it,
Yeah.
and then like you got like your urban legends, you got your
Mhm.
I Know What You Did Last Summers, which were just direct ripoffs of that.
Right.
But, like it wasn't even good. Like
and
you didn't
even
get like
even that was even Scream and New Nightmare. I mean, those movies are like ironic takes, on the genre.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like
It's
there,
taking the
there
piss out
wasn't
of
an
itself.
attempt. Yeah, like there wasn't an attempt there to bring the genre back. It was just like the genre is so officially dead now. We can have this take on it, and then
we can do
move
an
on.
elevated satire a la
Yeah.
yeah, and then the Wayans brothers decided, hey, let's make Spaceballs, but for horror movies, and Scary
Which-
Movie was born.
And to be fair, right, like the combination of like I Know What You
we
Did
have to
Last Summer
watch
and
that one
Scary
day.
Movie like coming out like at the same time that changed. I mean, that created the teen slasher. Like that solidified it. But
Yeah,
of course,
that
that's
is
not.
true.
You know,
How many scary movies are we gonna have to watch one day?
0.
5 or 6.
There,
Dude,
What are you
there's
talking
no
about?
way.
We
There's
have to
no
watch
way.
them.
Though, like 3 and 4 are not full of just the most problematic jokes.
The first two are really good, and then like the third and the fourth one are okay.
I
do not
remember
remember
Scary
Scary
Movie
Movie
3.
5 in
ones.
theaters. Corbin?
Scary Movie
I
3,
think so,
I
yeah.
did see in theaters. I remember very distinctly Charlie Sheen is one of the main characters. They do an 8 Mile joke, and at the end, the dude throws his hood up, and it's got like the Ku Klux Klan point, and everybody who was super into him got mad, and like that was, and then what's his face, the dude from Naked Gun. I think that's like it's like the one bit where like the aliens show up and like, yes, we pee out of our fingers, and they shoot, and then the guy from Naked Gun goes, yeah, I guess we're not so different after all, and he also pisses out of his finger. It's like a really funny little bit. Leslie Nielsen, is that his name?
Leslie Nielsen, yes.
Yeah.
Bobby
Sounds
just,
like Bobby's
Bobby
a
got done.
connoisseur.
Bobby first said, "I don't ever want to watch a scary movie for the show," and then he proceeds to talk about his favorite scene from one of the lesser scary movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
movies.
I love. You think I know a fuck ton about horror, but I love comedies. Like,
Yeah. Oh boy, so good.
uh,
Mhm.
You know,
How
Scary
good is
Movie
it,
is only called that because that was the original title for Scream. Sorry,
no, it's okay.
that's my fun
I
fact.
think
for
I
the day.
did know that. What was your fun? You actually wait. You said you had a piece of trivia about this film.
Oh, my piece of trivia for this film is that the original script spec was done by Peter Jackson at the height of his horror fame, but then they didn't go with that script and they did a different one.
What else has
Oh,
Peter Jackson done in horror? Am I just an idiot?
Peter Jackson's entire pre-Lord of the Rings career was horror, and we watched a Peter Jackson.
Yeah,
horror
we
movie
watched
for the
Brain
show.
Dead. We Dead Alive.
Brain dead.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dead Alive. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah. Like
It's like having like a brain blast on Peter Jackson's.
My-
Yeah,
you
because
know,
I definitely had a brain blast in the episode.
You know what my
100%.
you want to know my favorite Freddy Krueger piece of trivia is?
Yeah, what's that?
They were originally going to have a post-credit scene in Freddy vs. Jason, where Freddy and Jason were both hanging out in hell, and a chair was going to turn to his pinhead, and it was going to be him doing like a mediation counseling session, and it was good.
I love
It was
that.
supposed to be like into the third one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that would be like a phenomenal.
They should have kept that going.
Oh yeah. Like he's gonna like turn around and it was just gonna be Doug Brett and be like, and what do we have here? And that was just gonna be the end of it. And I would have screamed my fucking head off. I'm like, yes, yes.
Oh
But yeah.
boy. right.
Speaking of screaming my fucking head off, you ready to rate this bad boy?
Yeah.
You know what?
ready
I
to
think
treat-
we can. How many?
Jesus.
How does that whole system work, though? I need a refresher.
You know, you tell the people.
Okay, so we here on this show like to rate movies on a scale of 0 to 5 with half points allowed. So something like a 1.5. I'll just keep going. I can keep my composure. That's kosher. 1.5. We're Gucci boys. No problems. You try to come out here with a 1.734. No, we can't have any
Oh,
of that.
man.
So many digits.
That's what I'm saying. We can't have that. It's too many digits in the Excel sheet. It's unacceptable. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the order this week because you put it at my lap, and I'm gonna go ahead and go highest to lowest.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
I will go first.
Yep.
Unironically, 2.5. I think this is an average film. Unironically, I think this hits right in the dead middle of where a movie should be. It understands what it is and fully commits to that bit, kind of knowing that it can. That's the thing, is this movie just goes, fuck it. Why not? Why not do this? Why not do that? Why not? Because it's the last one. What else are we going to do? Like, I feel like the buy-in was there. Like, there was, I don't know, I would be willing to bet in their writer's room, they're like, sure. Who cares? It's the last one. It just needs to somehow end in Freddy exploding, and one of the worst effects I've ever seen in my life. But it kind of fit with how dumb the movie was already, to just end on an incredibly awful 3D effect. But yeah, unironic 2.5, a huge bright spot for me in the tail end of this franchise. I was shocked when I finished this film, and I was like, huh. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it. Corbin,
Okay.
you're next.
So far as we're scoring things unironically, I guess I would say that this movie is better than the last two, but marginally. I would give this a 1.5. I don't really think that it's actually a good movie. I did enjoy my time with it. I agree with what Alan said. I think this movie knows what it is, but it's also like full of mediocre acting, terrible effects. Like one of my first notes, one of the very first things that happens, right, is Freddy riffs on the Wicked Witch of the West, and we get a literally worse than Wizard of Oz effect of him running on the broom. It's a 60 years
How?
later. That movie came out in like
How?
1930. Like so like there are some things about this movie that are just not good. And like Freddy slashes literally zero people with his claw.
He
They're
doesn't
Get
even get
slashed.
he gets barely slashed with his claw. Like,
yeah. And it's very funny, but like they ham up the character of Freddy so much that any last vestiges of horror are just completely gone. And I enjoyed my time with it, but I don't think that this was like a good movie. So I'm gonna say 1.5, better than the other one than the last two, but not good.
I'm gonna obviously go last, and I'm also, I think, gonna give this a, in the same way that I gave Dream Master a Bobby 1.5 out of 5. I'm also going to give Freddy's Dead a Bobby 1.5 out of 5. Um, this movie tickled me. It really did. Uh, like it very bad, but it also tickled me. I told you guys I could be convinced. And the more and more we talked about, the more I was like, I guess I did really like that. Like, like I think I came into this. I think I came into this with more of an expectation than I came into Dream Master, because I remember thinking Dream Warriors kicked ass and Dream Master sucked, and so I think I came in with lower expectations for Dream Master than I came in for Freddy's Dead, a movie that we all just forgot. There are some reasons why this movie is bad, right? Special effects are bad. I think one of the biggest letdowns of all times, if you look for stills of this movie, there's a screen grab of Freddy with the caption underneath it, every town has an Elm Street, which in its own like way is a really scary line, but it's
Yeah,
delivered and done so cheesily that you're just like, oh man, like that could have been so cool, right?
totally agree.
Which is probably
Yep.
why you don't see videos of it, you just see the screen grabs, right? But this movie's goofy, it's weird, it's got an advertisement for the fucking Power Glove, like like it's so fun. Yeah, Bobby 1.5 out of 5.
Well, scoring movies isn't the only thing we do here. We also discuss whether or not a movie is essential to horror as a whole. If you skip forward to this portion, this is spoiler free, and our scores so far are a 2.5, unironic, from
That's
Alan,
so insane to me, dude.
and
That's
I agree. It feels very high, but it's okay. And a
it's
one
gonna
and a
get corrected
half,
very quickly.
1.5 from myself and Bobby. We'll just go ahead and repeat the order. Is this movie essential to horror as a whole? Alan, what do you think?
Hmm. So, no. Even though it's the end of the franchise, quote unquote, and there's all this fanfare, I have to imagine it was, a big deal at the time. I mean, we've talked about it a fair bit. Like, this kind of signaled the end of a pretty massive part of horror. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, how is that not essential then? Well, because I think at the end of the day, when people think of Friday, or every time it's happened every episode,
You made me do it.
Both of you almost, yeah, like what's going on?
when we think of A Nightmare on Elm Street, this movie doesn't register. Corbin forgot about it like 3 separate times, and he's been watching horror since he was born. Like, I don't know how else to stress that, but we forgot about this film entirely. I just don't think that in the total conscious there's really much much remembrance of this film. As much as I thoroughly loved this film and had a great time with it, yeah, I would tell someone watch it. It's fun, but it's also like there's a bit of Schadenfreude with this film after the pure shit we had to just deal with over the past couple of weeks to end with something like this that was truly enjoyable compared to not enjoyable previously. It's a good finish, but it's not something that's remembered in any real capacity. So no.
All right. Yeah. So I agree that it's a no. I'll just say it straight up at the front. Uh, it's a fun movie, not a great movie. It being the end, but not really the end, like I think that does have a little bit of merit. And we talked about it in the spoiler cast that this movie did do a lot to kind of like mark the end of officially the end of like this type of slasher. But I think it's important to remember that this movie didn't do that. Like those are things that happened externally in real life, right? It was press tours and interviews and like the studios and the actors admitting it and saying these things and doing these things externally.
And
But the
Dream
movie,
Child's existence.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, right. But like the movie itself, doesn't really do that, and I mean the movie itself doesn't even link very well to the previous movie, and like there's things that just prevent it from getting up there in essentiality. And Alan said it. I forgot about this movie's existence several times, and I've seen it before, more than once, I'm sure. And it's just an unfortunately easy no, I would say. I think that the end, quote unquote, of such a franchise probably deserves to be a yes, but this one, especially if you're just watching the six in a row, like it just doesn't feel like an essential ending.
I am going to take a slightly interesting stance, and I'm going to say no, but it should be. For some reason, we don't remember this movie's existence, but we remember all of the parts surrounding this movie. We remember the Power Glove scene. We remember like I remember so much of this movie.
Yeah, seriously.
Like I remember like his like back. I remember him like cutting himself as like young Freddy. I remember him strangling his wife. I remember Freddy Krueger had a daughter. Right. I remember like all of this stuff. Right. Oh, I super spoiled this. We're gonna have to pause this and like.
No, it's fine.
There it is.
Sorry, not so spoiler free, I guess. But like you remember all of these things of this movie. I don't know how. Wow, that was really stupid of me.
That's the first time I think we've done that in a real long time.
Yeah, but you remember so much of this movie, right? You remember so much of this movie. But for some reason, even after I've told you all of this, even after you've been spoiled, you're going to go into this movie and go, huh, this is in this one. Weird.
Yeah. Yeah, you know how many times I was watching this? I was like, "Oh yeah, they moved this forward into Freddy versus Jason." Like the amount of things, the Freddy parts of Freddy versus Jason are like 80% from this movie, and
Yeah.
like that's crazy, right? Because that movie was like the best.
Wait.
Think about it, like the entire like Freddy's realm and like the way that it's designed, the whole concept of ripping Freddy out of the dream world to kill
The
him.
fact that he's a demon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these things are all from this movie.
This
and not
this one
other
and the
ones.
first one. Yeah, this one and
Yeah.
the first one, and that's about it. Yeah.
Huh.
Like
and yet, is the thing.
And yet we don't remember it.
yeah, like
Right.
yeah,
It's
for
sad.
some reason we don't remember it. Like it should be remembered. Like not even as a good one, but as one that is like, yeah, okay, makes sense, right? Like cuz this is like the end of Freddy Krueger's quite literal continuity.
Yeah, that's
Right.
objectively true.
I have a question then.
Sure.
Okay. So, would it be appropriate to have a discussion on this bit of the franchise as its own, like, is it essential? Because I know we still have New Nightmare next week. That's its own, but at the same time, our next films, New Nightmare and the remake, are realistically their own. I mean, they're a part of the overarching franchise, but like
But they're different.
it almost feels right to talk about the main six as like what is this in the consciousness, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or do
but
we just save it all as like a wrap up discussion when we get there and kind of can
I
break it down
think
to
you're
that?
right because I think there's a difference between because I think we're going to get different answers. And I think it's a good idea to go here and then throw these as addendums. I think you're right. I'll explain after, but I have a thought here. Um and I'm going to go out and just on a limb here and say, yes, of course, A Nightmare on Elm Street as a franchise is essential to horror. It's fucking Freddy Krueger, dog. Like, what do you want me to say? He's arguably the most well-known horror icon of all time. Like, and it's an easy argument. There's one other that you might be able to argue against, and I'm not winning that fight here, but I might win that fight in mixed company. Like,
Fair.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I agree, right? Of course, this, it are this first six movies, the original canon continuity of Nightmare on Elm Street, is that an essential franchise? Of course, Nightmare on Elm Street embodies everything that was good and everything that was bad about that era of slashers, right? It was the highest of highs, and also at times the lowest of lows. Like this franchise went through it all, and despite itself, and also because of the highs, I mean, it created one of the biggest icons even to this day, right? Where we haven't had a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie in 13 years, and we haven't had a good Nightmare on Elm Street movie in 19 years. And yet, we,
spoilers.
well, I'm sorry, but I actually like that. I actually like 2010's. Double spoilers, but most people don't. Um, Despite that, like Freddy Krueger persists, I mean, he's part of the
Thus, she,
lexicon,
her system.
right. I mean, how many people have you seen dressing up every year as Halloween, of all ages, of all genders, as Freddy Krueger? I mean, this is like transcended A Nightmare on Elm Street. There
Yeah.
is probably to the point where people are fans of Freddy Krueger that have never even seen A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think that alone like has to put it as a yes.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy yes. It's I mean, you know who Freddy Krueger is before you even had a hint of what a Nightmare on Elm Street is. Like it is spoofed so many times in so many different ways, in so many different mediums. Like he's in a fighting game in Mortal Kombat as an example.
True.
If you watch any sort of late night television, at some point, someone's going to do a spoof of Freddy Krueger because, of course, they will. If you go out on Halloween, you will see Freddy Krueger. Like
1 second.
it's you cannot escape the existence of this character in our culture. Period. And I mean, if there's not, how else would you define something as essential? If not, it's inescapable.
Yeah.
You've probably had a dream, and guess what? Freddy Krueger's probably shown up in it. I mean, if you know the character, it's probably happened to you. Like think how powerful that is. Like it's meta irony in its purest form. The idea
Yeah.
of a guy killing you in your dreams, and then he actually shows up in your dream, but like, it's just it's funny. So
No, for sure.
yeah.
I mean,
Of
Freddy
course.
Krueger.
There's
I mean,
not
Nightmare on Elm
one,
Street. There's
not two,
one.
but 3 distinct porn parodies of A Nightmare on Elm Street,
Of course there is.
including the titular "A Wet Dream on Elm Street"
I mean,
What a
they had
title.
to, right?
What a time.
and its
How can you-
sequel, "A Wet Dream on Elm Street 2."
Oh, actually, it's funny you say that. That actually sparks something else I want to say on the essentiality of this movie. I think what's interesting too is you have this franchise is essential for different reasons within its own movies. Like the first Nightmare on Elm Street, you establish a character that persists in eternity. That's pretty big. Nightmare 2 totally different take, entirely different aspect of the movie. It's more of, I wouldn't call it an art film, but it has those kinds of elements. Like it's a higher level type of horror film. And then Nightmare 3 is balls to the wall horror. Those three movies are essential for entirely different reasons, all within one franchise. And I think that's fascinating too. Like,
Yeah.
the franchise is more than the
It's
sum
got
of its
something for all
parts.
three of us.
Exactly. It really does. It's about the nightmares we made along the way, boys.
That's true.
Maybe
True.
maybe the true Freddy Kruegers were the friends we made along the way.
Oh boy.
Speaking of the friends we made along the way, where are your handles? Where can we find you guys?
You went the much more appropriate route than where I was going to go.
Speaking of porn parodies, where can we find you guys?
Of course. Yeah, come on.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Corbangarang or on Twitter, Instagram, and Mastodon at Bolters and Bourbon. That's right, I said Instagram. I'm bringing it back. Twitter has been an absolute hellscape for hobby content, and I am desperate to find more because it's really difficult to just find pictures of people like painting and working on and like discussing like Warhammer and hobby content on Twitter. So switching, spending my time between Mastodon and Instagram. So follow me at Bolters and Bourbon. And I will be posting as well as soon as I'm working on something I can take pictures of. In the meantime, besides that, I'm playing Destiny a lot more. It's Guardian games right now, so that's really cool. And I this last week, we didn't really talk about it last week. We probably, maybe we should have, but it was Star Wars Day on Thursday. So as of today, we record on Mondays. So today's Monday, and the episode, Star Wars Day was in between recordings, and it always does a lot for. I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt today. I'm totally in the zone. Been started listening to the next High Republic book that I was on. It's called something with a C. I forget what it is. It's from Wave 2. It's a new one. But Star Wars is cool, and I'm happy to. I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood, guys. But yeah, follow me at Bolters and Bourbon. That's the main spot, or at Corbangarang for video game content on Twitter.
You can find me at twitch.tv/threadweenie, where I stream occasionally. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty Warzone. My brothers and I have been playing, and I've also been playing with other people. I played a little bit of Guardian games on Destiny. Other than that, honestly, not super much. Life, chilling, all that good stuff. Big chilling. It's getting warmer outside, which is super nice. Like that for me. But yeah, that's what I do for the most part. Twitter is a hellscape. You can technically follow me on Twitter through my Twitch, but I don't post there anymore because just man, there's just a lot of Elon Musk has really bumped up the alt-right content that just gets shoved down my face, and I just don't want to listen to that. So yeah. Find me on the other apps. I'm probably going to post there, even though I barely post them all anyway. So, yeah, twitch.tv/threadweenie. Come hang out.
You can find me just about anywhere at @ASealPunter. I actually deleted Twitter off my phone like 2 weeks ago. No real reason. I was just like, I don't need this garbage. So I just got rid of it.
Hard to blame you.
Yeah, well, and it was more so like I found myself just scrolling, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Is kind of like I had a come to Jesus moment where I'm like, what the fuck am I? As I'm scrolling, saying that, I'm like, okay, this has got to go. I just get rid of it. So
I deleted Facebook from my phone for that reason at the start of the year.
No, I haven't done that one yet. But that's next. That's next. Look. TikTok's algorithm knows me very well. It knows what I want to see, and frankly, I'm okay with that. But yeah, I have been doing some painting. I'm actually going to be up in the area this coming weekend for Super Saturday. I'm also going to surprise my mom and show up for Mother's Day.
Surprise!
So
If
that'll
she
be
listens
fun.
on release day, she'll know.
Well, if
She'll
she,
know.
ooh, I am rolling the dice here. Do I censor that? I could censor this in post if I need to. Ooh, that's editing. Alan, make the decision. Figure it out. Okay.
I will not be censoring
Um,
the video version.
She won't watch the video version, so we're
No.
good there. But yeah, I've been doing some painting, disc golf. It's gorgeous down here. I mean, it's it's gonna be in like the 70s all week, so gonna be go out and play. And yeah, I feel like there was something else I wanted to bring up, but I don't remember what it was. A seal punter.
It's gone. Yeah. You can follow
Where's
the
the
podcast. Yeah, you can follow it. You can follow it at Essential Scares on Twitter,
Lovely.
Facebook, and Instagram. And we've been posting on Twitter. And by we, I do, of course, mean me. If you would like to see some horror posts, follow us on Twitter. Trying to get, the socials back on lock. It has been a long period of time, as I'm sure anybody who's followed us recently has seen. But we're winding it back up. And if you've been following us this whole time, staring at our page at the dearth of content, then I appreciate you. And your loyalty will be rewarded one day. But yeah, follow us at Essential Scares in the bios for all of our.
No, it won't.
Well,
No, it won't.
I said one day. One day leaves me so much space to make that happen. In the bios for our socials, you can find our Discord, where we are hanging out all the time, talking about movies, music, games, and more. I mentioned it last week, but we actually have a 3-week blank period between the end of Friday or Nightmare. Damn it! Alan. You did it.
Yes.
You did it to me.
Yes.
3-4-3.
Between the end of A Nightmare on Elm Street and our 100th episode spectacular. So if you have a franchise or just a set of 3 random movies that you'd like us to cover, toss it our way. The closer we get to that without a fan recommendation, the more likely we are to just pick some random hogwash, and who knows what that's going to end up being.
It'll be fun.
That's it, though, for this week. Next week, we are covering Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, the 7th Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and also kind of the second, kind of the Zero movie. We'll see how it goes, right? It's one of my all-time favorites. Spoilers for everybody, but it's really cool, and I'm really excited for Alan to watch it for the first time.
Yeah, I'm totally fresh on this one, and the remake in the week after that. Never seen either of them.
It's gonna be very, very cool. Thank you to everybody for listening and watching. If you liked the show, give us a thumbs up, a review, etc. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you to Alan and Bobby for being on the show with me this week. I have been your host, Corbin, and this has been Essential Scares.
Play that break.